Hi everyone, this is David. Not a whole lot going on, but what is going on is very important because it is preparation for your second paper. In the second thread, you're going to find the sample papers for your paper number 2. So let me talk a little bit about paper number 2, and then we're going to review these sample papers where you'll get a really clear idea. In paper number 2, you're going to write to your staff. In other words, you're going to pretend, if you have to pretend, if you're not already, you're going to be a manager. And you're going to write a memo to your staff. A memo, remember that's an internal document that is formatted a certain way. You're going to write a memo to the members of your staff, either real or fictitious. In this memo, you're going to introduce a new way of writing for your department, for your staff. And that new way of writing is called reader-centered prose, or reader-centered writing. So with that as background, let's take a look at these model papers so you can see exactly what I want you to do. Let's take a look first at VAV-REX model paper. And here it is. As you can see, Michael formatted his memorandum like a normal looking memorandum. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. Keep in mind that the columns here are aligned left. Keep that in mind. That's often a mistake with beginning memo writers. The second thing that I would like to point out to you is to notice how Michael actually begins. He begins by generating common ground. He begins by generating enthusiasm, generating motivation. In other words, he's giving his readers a reason to go ahead and to read these things. So let's read a little bit about what he wrote. Imagine receiving detailed instructions from your boss concerning the completion of a specific task and knowing exactly what was expected of you. Imagine the target audience of your sales correspondence, he was talking to a sales staff, reading the entire letter and fully understanding the benefits of purchasing your product or service. Imagine, and then his fourth paragraph, imagine no more. All of the above can be yours by subscribing to our new company standard of reader-centered writing. Now, if that sounds like a sales job to you, it is. Every time you write, it is a sales job. Sometimes the sales job is subtle. Sometimes the sales job is obvious. Michael is writing to a sales staff here, so he's using the overt techniques of sales. But remember, you're always trying to get people to buy what you're writing, to buy the authenticity of it, to buy the truth of it, to buy the validity of it, and to buy you as a writer, to trust you. So it's always a sales job. Now let's keep on going. After Michael establishes common ground, after Michael establishes common goals, he then launches into a brief explanation of what reader-based prose is. And then, after defining what reader-based prose is, Michael takes a piece of writing. Michael takes a piece of writer-centered writing. In other words, a piece of the bad stuff. And then he analyzes that bad stuff and tells his audience, his readers, his staff, what's bad about it. You can see what Michael's doing here. He quotes it, he puts it in a nicely formatted table, and he says, note how often the word I is used throughout. Also note that no common goal is established, and the writer seems more interested in his own experiences than those of a customer. Then Michael goes on to provide even more extended text comments about that terrible piece of writing. Then Michael takes that same piece of writer-based writing, the same piece, and revises it. He translates it into reader-based writing. And you're going to see all the different ways that he translates it, All those different ways are based upon the features of writer-based prose, which you outlined in last week's conference. So you take a look at that piece of writer-based prose, the bad stuff, then you go down that list of characteristics of reader-based prose, and you make them happen. You apply them one by one to that piece of writing and revise it, translate it. Let's see what Michael did. Michael, as you can see, divided it up into different shorter paragraphs. He added a bullet list. He added a common goal. And most importantly, Michael focused upon the reader's needs. Michael focused upon benefits, not features. The benefits to the reader. Then Michael continues his comments on it. And then Michael ends with a summary of instructions to his staff about everything Michael wants that staff to do to translate their writing into reader-based prose. Then he ends with a call to action. In this case, that call to action is to master those techniques by attending a reader-based prose workshop that's going to be held. So there's Michael's paper. He included his references at the end. And so that basic job is, first, give your staff motivation, a goal, a common goal that you share with them for undergoing this training and changing the way that they're currently doing something. That's always tough. 2, define the characteristics of reader-based writing. 3, apply those characteristics to a sample of bad writing, writer-based writing. Point out how that piece of writer-based writing violates the code of reader-based writing. 4, revise that piece of bad writing, translating it into a good model for your staff. 5, end up with action steps, telling them exactly what you want them to do to their writing and providing training for them so that they can further master these techniques. Okay, that is paper number 2. Any questions, post them in Cafe 24/7 or shoot me an email and I'll get right back to you.